The call came in at 6:42 a.m. A jogger, cutting through a foggy path near the Chicago River, noticed something lodged against the rocks below the bridge. A pale hand, still, reaching toward the surface. It took divers nearly an hour to retrieve the body. She had been weighted down with 2 gym plates strapped to her waist, resistance bands wound tightly around her legs. The medical examiner would later note the precision. Whoever did this had time. And a plan. Her name was Alicia Patterson, real estate broker, wife of one of the most respected surgeons at Chicago Memorial, mother figure in the community, church volunteer, choir lead, a woman known as much for her warmth as her elegance. People called her the glue that held her circle together, always smiling, always composed. That's why the city froze. How could a woman like Alicia, charitable, accomplished, God-fearing, end up dumped in a river like garbage? It didn't take long before questions turned into whispers, and whispers into rumors. What began as quiet speculation in pews and PTA meetings exploded into full-blown scandal the moment one name surfaced. Rashad Hamilton, 21, Northwestern music student, part-time trainer at Alicia's private gym, son of a South Side housekeeper and a retired mechanic, gifted, driven, and by all accounts obsessed. The two had met through the church choir. What started as mentorship became something else entirely. Late-night calls, private rehearsals, deleted texts, and eventually, secrets too big to hide. The truth would stretch far beyond a simple affair. It would reveal a chain of decisions that blurred the lines between love and manipulation, loyalty and obsession. And at the center of it all, 3 people locked in a silent war, each one desperate not to be the one left behind. The neighborhood that once celebrated Rashad Hamilton's potential would soon learn how deadly desire can be when desperation takes hold. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you find yourself drawn in as the story unfolds, don't forget to like and share. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for a story you won't forget. Alicia Monet Patterson was the kind of woman people pointed to as an example. At 38, she had built a real estate portfolio most agents twice her age would envy. Her name was printed on luxury property brochures all across Hyde Park. She spoke at women's conferences, mentored high school girls on Saturdays, and still found time to prepare hot meals for her husband every Sunday afternoon when he wasn't on call. To the outside world, the Pattersons were a model couple. 15 years of marriage, no scandals, no public arguments, just success, charity, and class. Dr. Warren Patterson was everything his wife's image reinforced, polished, articulate, a man in control. As chief of cardiology at Chicago Memorial, his name carried weight. Between surgeries, speaking engagements, and fundraisers, he stayed busy, sometimes too busy. His overnight shifts were frequent, his schedule unpredictable. But Alicia never complained. Instead, she filled her time. Church events, fundraisers, a youth mentorship program she created for at-risk teens through the music ministry. That's where she met Rashad Hamilton. He was just 21, a junior at Northwestern University, music major, grew up on the South Side with 2 younger siblings and a mother who worked double shifts as a home care nurse. By day, Rashad took classes. By evening, he trained clients at Evolve, a boutique fitness center just a few blocks from Alicia's office. On weekends, he played piano at church and led vocals during youth services. He was talented, polite, focused. Alicia noticed his voice first, then his story, then his silence. The two were assigned a duet during a church music showcase in early spring. After that, the rehearsals increased. First weekly, then nightly. A small group became just the 2 of them. No one questioned it. Alicia had always been active with the youth. Rashad was always eager to learn. Their connection, though quiet, grew quickly. Meanwhile, Warren's workload intensified. New equipment at the hospital, a national board review. He was rarely home before midnight. Even when he was, his mind stayed elsewhere. Alicia didn't say much. She simply adjusted. Her closest friend, Tasha Williams, noticed the change first. Tasha, a corporate paralegal and longtime member of the church, had known Alicia since they were teenagers. She'd been there through Alicia's early marriage struggles. She was the godmother to Alicia's oldest niece. She was also the one Alicia confided in, at first casually. "Rashad is bright," she said. "Driven. Reminds me of Warren when we first met." But Warren wasn't 21. Warren didn't write songs and send them through voice memos. Warren didn't text poetry at midnight or wait outside her spin class just to walk her to the car. And when Alicia began dressing differently, laughing a little longer, checking her phone a little too often, Tasha started asking questions. Still, nothing confirmed the rumors. Not until that day in August, when Tasha borrowed Alicia's iPad during a church planning meeting, and a message popped up from a contact saved only as J. The message read, "Did you think about what I said? I don't care if he's your husband. I want more than borrowed time." Tasha never said anything that day. She closed the screen, finished the meeting, smiled even, but she remembered the name. And later that night, she began looking. She didn't find a J. She found Rashad Hamilton. And from that moment on, the perfect image Alicia Patterson had built began to crack, quietly at first. Because even though no one outside their circle suspected anything, inside that church choir, more than a few eyes had already started watching. And someone else, someone very close, was watching much more closely than anyone knew. It started with a missed appointment. On a Wednesday morning, Alicia was scheduled to meet a high-profile client for a private home showing in Lincoln Park. She never arrived. At first, no one panicked. People miss meetings. Phones die. Traffic happens. But when her assistant tried calling and got no response, and Alicia still hadn't checked in by midday, concern began to build. By 4 p.m., her office had left 4 voicemails. By 7 p.m., her sister had driven past her house. The lights were off. Her Lexus wasn't in the driveway, and her phone remained unanswered. The next morning, her brokerage team filed a missing persons report. Dr. Warren Patterson waited almost 48 hours before he made his own report to police. He told officers he had assumed his wife was out of town on business. He explained that her travel schedule had recently become more private, that they hadn't been speaking much, that she'd been distant. Detectives noted his tone, measured, tired, confused, but not frantic. Surveillance footage from the night before her disappearance was pulled. It showed Alicia leaving the Evolve Fitness Center at 8:13 p.m. She was wearing a long gray coat, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. Her hair was tied up. She looked calm. She walked to her car, unlocked it, and drove off. She was never seen again. Later that day, a University of Chicago security officer noticed a silver Lexus parked awkwardly in a visitor zone near the Campus Arts building. It had been there overnight. The windows were fogged. No one claimed it. When authorities traced the plate, they confirmed it belonged to Alicia Patterson. Inside the car was her gym bag, a water bottle, and a single earring on the passenger seat. Her phone was not recovered. The driver's seat was pulled back farther than usual. Police took note. At the same time, across the city, Northwestern University flagged a student for 2 consecutive absences, unusual for someone with Rashad Hamilton's record. His professors couldn't reach him. His roommate said he hadn't been home since Tuesday night. His phone went straight to voicemail. For a while, the 2 disappearances were treated separately. But something didn't sit right. 2 people. 1 missing. 1 silent. A car abandoned near campus. And no signs of struggle, just absence. Alicia's family and friends flooded social media with her photo. Church members began organizing search parties. Tasha Williams made a public plea, standing outside the sanctuary where Alicia had once led songs about faith, hope, and healing. And yet, as the hours turned to days, a single question echoed louder than all the rest. What happened between the moment Alicia left the gym and the moment her car was found? It would take one more clue, one overlooked detail, to shift the case from confusion to investigation. And it would begin with a second look at who, exactly, Alicia had been texting that night. The official investigation began with the person closest to her. Dr. Warren Patterson sat across from investigators just 3 days after Alicia's disappearance. He looked exhausted. still in hospital scrubs. He answered every question carefully, methodically. He admitted they had been distant. He said Alicia had grown private, withdrawn, that their conversations had become short, their dinners quiet. He said he still loved her, even if he didn't understand her anymore. Detectives noted his composure. No signs of evasion, no clear motive, but no alibi either, not yet. Next, they spoke with Tasha Williams. Tasha didn't hesitate. She told investigators that Alicia had been distracted in recent months. Not visibly troubled, just far away. She'd started skipping some women's group meetings. She no longer shared details about her day. She seemed to guard her phone more than usual. Tasha mentioned the message she saw months earlier. She hadn't thought much of it at the time. Now, she couldn't stop thinking about it. With that lead, detectives reviewed the gym's exterior cameras once more. And there it was. At exactly 8:09 p.m. on the night Alicia disappeared, she left through the rear exit of Evolve Fitness, not the main entrance. Walking just a few steps behind her was a man in a hoodie. His face wasn't visible, but the body language was clear. They weren't strangers. They walked side by side toward the parking lot. Then, just out of frame, they vanished. The timestamp matched the moment she was last seen. Police sent the footage to tech experts to enhance the image. At the same time, they checked Alicia's phone records. One number came up again and again over the past 4 months. It wasn't linked to any name. It wasn't registered to any carrier. A burner. The last call from that number came in just 14 minutes before she left the gym. It lasted under 30 seconds. They traced the number to a series of cell towers near the University of Chicago. One of those towers covered the exact location where Alicia's Lexus was found. Now, attention turned to Rashad Hamilton. His professors confirmed he hadn't attended classes. His student ID hadn't been swiped in any university building since Tuesday night. His bank card showed no activity. His phone still off. Investigators contacted his mother. She hadn't seen or heard from him in 3 days. Detectives visited his apartment. His roommate said Rashad left around 7:30 that evening. He didn't say where he was going, just that he had something important to take care of. When asked if Alicia Patterson had ever visited, the roommate hesitated, then nodded. A few times, he said. Nothing dramatic. Just quiet visits. Always in the evening. Always short. Detectives began cross-checking social media activity. They found photos from the church's youth retreat 2 months earlier. Rashad and Alicia were in 3 of them, never alone, but always near each other. In one, Alicia had her hand on Rashad's shoulder during a group prayer. In another, they shared a laugh in the background while everyone else posed. None of it proved anything. But together, the pieces started forming a pattern. The woman who had lived a life of order, discipline, and image had clearly been drifting into another world, and the man who had once called her a mentor was nowhere to be found. At that point, the question was no longer whether they were connected. The question now was, who else knew? A week into the investigation, the case took a sharp turn. Tasha Williams returned to the precinct, this time with a folder in her hand. She looked tired, hesitant. She told investigators she hadn't shared everything, that she'd been holding on to something for weeks, unsure what to do with it. Inside the folder were printed screenshots from Alicia's old iPad, taken months ago, then quietly saved to the cloud. They were messages between Alicia and Rashad, and they left nothing to the imagination. "You make me feel alive again," Alicia had written. "He doesn't know you like I do. He never did. Soon. Just say the word. I'm ready." The messages dated back nearly 7 months. The tone shifted over time, starting tender, playful, then anxious, possessive, eventually desperate. Rashad had written things about her husband, about starting over, about not waiting forever. The detectives requested a financial search on Alicia's accounts. That's when they found the apartment. It was listed under a shell company, registered in Delaware, tied to a business email that matched no previous records. The lease had been signed 6 months earlier. Monthly payments made from a secondary bank account in Alicia's name. The apartment was on the 3rd floor of a quiet building near the university campus. Clean, discreet, expensive. Police obtained a warrant and entered the space. What they found confirmed everything. In the living room, 2 wine glasses still on the counter. A takeout bag dated 2 nights before she vanished. Her scarf draped across the couch. In the bedroom, a small box of keepsakes. Framed photos. A printed program from one of Rashad's recitals. A handwritten note. When this is ours, no one else matters. Alicia's clothes hung in the closet. Her perfume sat on the dresser. This wasn't a crash pad. It was a second home. And then came the final detail. Bank records revealed that Alicia had withdrawn $50,000 in cash just 3 days before she disappeared. The transaction was made in person, from a personal savings account untouched since her wedding. When asked about the withdrawal, neither her husband nor Tasha knew anything about it. Neighbors in the apartment building were questioned. One tenant, a graduate student in apartment 3B, recalled hearing a loud argument the night Alicia vanished. It started around 9:15 p.m. and lasted nearly 10 minutes. The voices were raised, one male, one female. Then a loud thud. Then silence. No one left the building immediately after. She hadn't reported it. Not until now. Detectives returned to the footage from the gym. The man in the hoodie had never reappeared on any other camera. Alicia's car was parked less than 3 blocks from that apartment. The pieces now were falling into place. Alicia Patterson hadn't just been hiding an affair. She had been preparing to leave everything behind. And someone wasn't ready to let her go. Forensics processed the apartment within 24 hours. Rashad Hamilton's fingerprints were found on multiple surfaces: the kitchen counter, the inside of the closet door, and the edge of the bathroom sink. None of that came as a surprise. But there was another set of prints, partial, faint, and unaccounted for. Not Dr. Patterson's. Not Alicia's. Someone else had been inside that apartment. Investigators ran the unknown prints through the system. No match. Meanwhile, Dr. Patterson's movements the night Alicia disappeared were confirmed. Records from Chicago Memorial showed he was in the middle of an emergency cardiac procedure from 8:25 p.m. to just after 11 p.m. A surgery with multiple witnesses, electronic badge swipes, and time-stamped notes from attending nurses. His alibi held. Attention shifted fully back to Rashad. Crime scene technicians found blood in the bathroom, beneath the edge of the vanity, inside the rim of the shower drain, and faintly on the baseboards. Someone had tried to clean it thoroughly. But luminol told the truth. The samples matched Alicia's DNA. Detectives now had physical evidence. And timing. Newly surfaced surveillance footage from a nearby ATM captured Rashad entering the building just after 8:45 p.m. the night Alicia vanished. He wore a black hoodie, carried a small duffel bag, and looked straight ahead. 32 minutes later, another person entered. The image wasn't clear. The person wore a long coat and a baseball cap pulled low. They used a key to enter. That person has not yet been publicly identified. Rashad was now the primary person of interest. Still, he was nowhere to be found. Phone records showed that his cell phone had pinged off a tower in Milwaukee just before sunrise the following morning. From there, no further activity. His debit card hadn't been used. His student email was inactive. But one more detail emerged, one that caught everyone off guard. Rashad had been accepted to Juilliard's music program the previous spring. A full scholarship, letters of recommendation, faculty endorsements. But for reasons unknown, he had deferred his enrollment. No explanation given. No alternate plan disclosed. When questioned months earlier, he told classmates he was working something out. It was Alicia who had written one of his letters. And now, police had her laptop. On it were emails to several family law firms, most never sent, but drafted. Notes about asset separation. A checklist titled, What to Prepare. And one final letter, dated 3 days before she vanished. It began with Warren, I need to be honest. She never finished it. The file ended mid-sentence. The case was no longer a mystery of where Alicia had gone. It was now a question of who knew she was planning to leave, and what they were willing to do to stop her. 12 days after Alicia Patterson was reported missing, U.S. Marshals located Rashad Hamilton in Milwaukee. He was found at his aunt's apartment on the city's west side, living under a different name. When they knocked on the door, he didn't run. He opened it slowly, hands raised, eyes tired. He said only one sentence before they cuffed him. "I didn't kill her." Back in Chicago, Rashad was placed in an interview room at the 21st District Precinct. He didn't speak for nearly 2 hours. Then, without prompting, he asked for Detective Monique Clark by name. She'd been leading the case since day one. She entered the room alone, sat across from him, and pressed record. What Rashad said next shifted the entire direction of the investigation. He claimed Alicia was murdered, but not by him. He said Dr. Warren Patterson had discovered the affair, that somehow the doctor had followed Alicia that night, entered the apartment without a sound, and confronted them both. Rashad said Warren brought a syringe, filled with something he didn't recognize. There was yelling, accusations. Alicia tried to explain. Rashad claimed he froze. Then, according to his statement, Warren walked toward her, held her down, and injected the contents of the syringe into her arm. Within seconds, Rashad said, Alicia went still. He claimed Warren looked directly at him and said, "If you want your family to stay safe, you'll do exactly what I tell you." He told detectives he was forced to help clean the scene, that Warren ordered him to wrap Alicia's body, carry her to the car, and help transport her to the river. Rashad said he didn't speak up earlier out of fear. He said he hadn't eaten in days, that the weight of what he saw had broken him. Detectives asked why he didn't go to police immediately. Rashad didn't answer. 3 hours later, acting on the new information, search teams returned to the Chicago River, this time with coordinates provided by Rashad. They found her just after midnight, wrapped in a gray bedsheet, bound with resistance bands, 2 20-pound weights tied at the ankles, one more tucked near her chest, all traced back to Evolve Fitness, the gym where Rashad worked part-time. The next morning, the coroner released a preliminary report. There were no blunt force injuries, no defensive wounds, but inside her bloodstream was an elevated level of potassium chloride, a drug used in hospitals, usually for cardiac emergencies. In high doses, it causes heart failure, the kind of drug that disappears quickly from the system, the kind that leaves no trace if not tested for early. It was also a drug Dr. Warren Patterson would have easy access to. For the first time, investigators had a clear cause of death. But the question remained, was Rashad telling the truth, or rewriting it to survive? Dr. Warren Patterson was brought in for questioning the following morning. He remained calm, almost still, as detectives laid out Rashad's version of events. He denied every detail. He said he never left the hospital, that he never knew where Alicia had been going at night, that he never touched her, never followed her, never even suspected Rashad. But the shift log at Chicago Memorial told a different story. Between 8:20 p.m. and 9:50 p.m. on the night Alicia disappeared, Dr. Patterson was unaccounted for. His ID badge had last been used to exit the surgical floor. There was a 90-minute window, tight, but long enough. Still, there was no video of him near the apartment, no witness, no vehicle sighting, and no direct connection to the gym equipment used to sink Alicia's body. The only thing connecting him to the crime was Rashad's word. Then another piece surfaced. Police uncovered a transaction from a private surveillance firm 2 weeks before Alicia's disappearance. The client, Dr. Warren Patterson. The assignment, follow Alicia Patterson. The file included photographs, grainy, distant shots of Alicia and Rashad walking side by side, entering the gym, leaving late from choir practice. Nothing explicit, but suggestive enough. Warren admitted he had the affair investigated. He said he never confronted her, that he wanted evidence before making a decision. But according to him, that's where his involvement ended. It was enough to keep him under watch, but not enough to charge. Then came the twist no one expected. DNA analysis from the bathroom in the secret apartment returned one more result. The unidentified print on the shower knob, and also faintly on a glass in the kitchen, belonged to Tasha Williams. When questioned, Tasha at first said she had only visited once, to deliver Alicia's purse. But confronted with the evidence, she fell silent. Detectives returned to Rashad. The pressure mounted. This time, his story changed. He said Alicia had planned to leave. But not just her husband. She had also planned to leave him. He had found messages between Alicia and Tasha, hidden in an old iPad Alicia left at the apartment. The messages spoke of a plan. Alicia and Tasha using the $50,000 to leave Chicago, start fresh in another city. Rashad believed she had been using him, that their affair was never about love, just leverage, a tool to provoke her husband, to stir jealousy, to gain control. He said he confronted Alicia at the apartment, that she denied everything, that she laughed, that she told him he was never part of the plan. He claimed something in him snapped. He said he grabbed her by the neck and didn't let go. When it was over, he didn't call the police. He called Tasha. He told her what had happened, told her everything. He said she came immediately, that she didn't cry, that she didn't shout. She only asked one question. Where is she now? The two of them cleaned the apartment. They scrubbed the bathroom. They moved Alicia's body. Rashad wrapped her in the bedsheet. Tasha found the weights. Together, they drove through the city in silence. When asked why she helped, Rashad only said, she didn't want to lose everything either. Tasha refused to speak after her arrest. No confession, no denial, but in the silence that followed, the truth stood still. Alicia Patterson had tried to control the game, but in the end, no one was playing by the rules. Rashad Hamilton was formally charged with second-degree murder and obstruction of justice. Tasha Williams faced 2 felony counts, accessory after the fact and tampering with evidence. Both were denied bail. Both were placed in separate holding facilities as they awaited trial. After months of speculation, Dr. Warren Patterson was officially cleared of all suspicion. Prosecutors concluded he had no physical involvement in Alicia's death. His emotional distance, the surveillance photos, even the 90-minute hospital absence, all concerning, but not criminal. He walked out of the courtroom a free man, though not unchanged. The trial began in early spring. Courtroom transcripts revealed a complicated, tangled truth. Alicia Patterson had carefully curated more than just her public image. Witness testimony described a woman in emotional turmoil, juggling roles, expectations, and a growing hunger for something more. Emails, voice memos, and private journals painted the picture of a woman who saw control as her only way out. Rashad's defense attorneys argued he had been emotionally manipulated, that Alicia played on his age, his background, his desire to matter. They described the murder as a crime of passion, triggered by betrayal and heartbreak. They submitted psychological evaluations, suggesting diminished capacity. Rashad, they claimed, was young, isolated, and spiraling. The prosecution focused on intent. They pointed to the deleted messages, the cleanup, the attempt to flee. They reminded the jury that Rashad didn't call for help, that he didn't stop once Alicia lost consciousness, that he lied then ran. They called it calculated rage, masked by youth, but deliberate in execution. Tasha's defense was thinner. She never testified. Her lawyers argued she acted under pressure, out of loyalty, that her involvement, while wrong, was not planned, that she feared exposure, that her silence was a response to shock, not guilt. After 2 weeks of arguments and 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Rashad Hamilton was found guilty on both counts. He was sentenced to 18 years in state prison, with eligibility for parole after 12. Tasha Williams received 8 years for her role, with credit for time served. During sentencing, Dr. Patterson requested to speak. The courtroom fell silent. He stood, looked at both defendants, and said he would never fully understand what happened between his wife and the people she trusted most. He said Alicia had her faults, but she didn't deserve what happened to her. Then, quietly, he said he forgave them, not for their sake, but for his own. And then he sat down. No more questions, no more answers, just silence and the weight of everything left behind. In the months that followed the verdict, the community was left divided. Some saw Rashad Hamilton as a murderer, cold, entitled, and calculated. Others saw him as a young man used by a woman twice his age, caught in emotions he was never taught how to handle. The debate played out in church pews, online forums, and family dinners across Chicago. Dr. Warren Patterson kept his distance from the public conversation. Instead, he turned his focus to legacy. In Alicia's name, he funded a music scholarship at Northwestern University. It was designed for underrepresented youth in the arts, students with talent, but few resources. The first recipient was selected quietly. No press. No announcement. Just a letter, signed by Dr. Patterson, and a check. Meanwhile, something unexpected began to happen inside the prison walls. Rashad had started composing again. His work, written with pencil on lined paper, circulated through correctional education programs. Instructors took notice. The pieces were raw, full of conflict, pain, confusion. One of them, titled Dangerous Desire, was submitted anonymously to a local music nonprofit. They published it in a digital collection. Listeners began asking, who wrote this? Tasha Williams, serving her sentence at Logan Correctional Center, began keeping a journal. She didn't fight her charges. She didn't appeal. Her writings revealed the depth of her feelings for Alicia. Not just friendship, but something more. She described years of loving someone she couldn't have, watching her fall for someone younger, watching her unravel, and in the end, making a choice she could never take back. But the final truth came from Alicia herself. 6 weeks after the trial ended, Alicia's sister was clearing files from a backup hard drive found in the apartment. On it, she discovered a video file never opened. It was a message, recorded late at night. In it, Alicia spoke plainly. She acknowledged the lies, the double life, the manipulation. She said she had tried to feel powerful again, that she thought control would bring clarity, that it didn't. She apologized, not to Rashad, not to Warren, but to herself, for becoming someone she barely recognized. She ended the video with a line no one could forget. No matter how this ends, someone is going to get hurt. A few weeks later, the church held a quiet memorial service, by invitation only. The final song was Dangerous Desire, arranged for full choir, with piano and strings. In the front row, Dr. Patterson sat alone. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He only listened to the music of the boy who took his wife's life, and the echo of a woman who couldn't outrun her own choices. If this story moved you, challenged you, or left you thinking, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who appreciates powerful true crime storytelling. Let us know in the comments what stood out to you most and where you're watching from. We read every message. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story like this. And if you want more gripping cases just like this one, check out our other videos. We've got plenty more waiting for you.